country with his election win over Hillary Clinton.
With scrutiny of polling systems, an investigation into Russian involvement, and an upset, the 2016 presidential election could affect the way presidential campaigns and elections are run in the future. KRCG 13's Kaylee Peterson joins us in studio with a look at November 8th, 1 year later.
Well, good morning, Dick and Katie. Political scientists say the 2016 election could change elections forever. Whether it's social media's involvement in a campaign, candidate rhetoric, or an investigation into other countries' involvement, last year's presidential election is still talked about every day. It's a win many didn't see coming. Now President Donald Trump defeats Hillary Clinton for president on November 8th, 2016. Critics and political scientists say the election pointed to new issues with polling.
Polling was a problem in 2016, and they have not really addressed it. One of the issues with polling is how quickly technology is changing. Most polls kept showing Clinton ahead. The one or two polls that didn't were basically disregarded because there was this bias that, well, it's not possible that Trump could be ahead. Turns out that he might have been.
Smith says money spent on the campaigns was also atypical.
The campaign itself was completely unlike any that we've seen. Almost always the person who spends the most money is the one that gets elected. That wasn't the case. Clinton spent much more money.
Something Smith says Trump didn't need to do.
He didn't need to spend as much money because he was on the air all the time. It's because he was the news.
Some say the candidates were part of an unseen, nasty campaign rhetoric, but Smith says it's the way the message was sent that was different.
Back in the early days of the Republic, I mean, you can't imagine the things that the parties and the candidates were saying about each other. They were at least as ugly as what was going on in 2016. The big difference is, of course, communications technology.
Smith says access to social media kept the rhetoric present. But something Smith says we will soon learn the impact of was possible Russian involvement.
The impact, probable impact, we'll see when these investigations are concluded, of Russian interference in the campaign, and the extent to which that had an impact remains to be seen, but it was non-trivial to be sure.
Political scientists agree this election was fascinating.
I still remember waking up very early, that morning, and that's not the result that the polls had predicted.
No, not at all. I remember going to bed before the results came in thinking, Hillary Clinton was going to be elected, and then I remember waking up completely shocked. I don't think a lot of people saw it.
Which was the 9th, I guess, really, right?
Yeah. Yes. Very early on the 9th. Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy. But, perhaps defines the way that we'll consider how polling goes into campaigns in the future.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we'll head to you for a look at the weather.
And now your KRCG 13 weather.